is inside of you.
Pay attention to the psychological aspects. You would have a competitive advantage over any opponent because you would have the mind of an athlete. The number one factor in performance is actually your sleep. Your sleep is the most important factor in your performance, but one of the things that I found as a sports psychologist is that it's often the most overlooked variable. That too often, many people pay a lot of attention to their lifting, to their running, to other aspects of their training, but they don't actually pay attention to their sleep. In fact, according to SleepMD, a third of Americans struggle with insomnia. And so many athletes get fewer hours of sleep than they actually need to recover from the hard physical conditioning that they're doing. This is especially true for a college athlete. Because as you know, it's tougher to go to bed early, but many athletes are getting up extra early in the morning to do an AM workout, maybe before classes. And so your sleep isn't so good. What I want to educate you guys on today is a little bit about the psychology of sleep. I want to share with you guys some information from the field of sports psychology that hopefully can make a huge difference in your performance. Sleep is when the conscious mind essentially goes to sleep. The preconscious mind, as we just recently spoke about, goes to work. It's trying to clear out all that stuff. It's like a filing cabinet that just wants to be organized. So it's looking at all the information you went through during the day and trying to examine it and file it away and keep it organized. So when you wake up in the morning, you feel rested. You feel refreshed. You feel ready to go. It's hard for many athletes to sleep well, to shut it down, because one thing we do in America here a lot of times is that we wake up in something called beta brainwave state, and it's go, 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 go all day long. See, brain waves, as illustrated here in this diagram, are essentially the amount of electrical activity that's going on in the brain, how much the neurons are firing. And so beta brainwave state is very rapid, very high. That's what you're in right now. And that's usually what you stay in from about 6 in the morning to maybe 12 o'clock at night. And it can be hard to really focus when you're in beta brainwave state. Alpha brainwave state is like when you're watching TV. You ever lay on the couch and just kind of have the remote control, watching a movie or some television, just kind of relax? That's alpha. Theta brainwave state is when you're kind of in and you're out. You're kind of falling asleep, but you're not really asleep, and you kind of watch part of the movie, and you woke up, and you pretend like you know what's going on, but you don't really know what's going on. You've been there? That's theta brainwave state. And sleep is delta. Now you're sound asleep. And delta sleep is really good sleep. This is where you're going to enter into the next layers of light sleep and deep sleep. You see, when you go to bed at night and you go from beta, alpha, theta into delta, then you start going down from stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and you do this cycle here across 8 hours. And if you've got this whole 8-hour cycle, you actually wake up feeling refreshed and restored. It's like you might go to bed at 11 o'clock, and then you wake up in the middle of the night, you toss and turn. Maybe you go to the bathroom around the same time every night. And then you go back to bed, and you wake up, and it's maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. You always check the clock. It's around the same time. And then you go back down stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you wake up, and you feel ready to go. That's a great sleep cycle. That's the way that it ideally works. It's tough for athletes. I feel for you. And so there's some things I want you to know about sleep that you need to do and some things you need to not do. What is the most important factor in sleep? Is it the amount of hours you get? No. What is it? What's the most important piece of sleep? It's the consistency. Absolutely. The consistency of sleep. The more consistent your sleep schedule, the better off. You go to bed every day at the same time, and you wake up at the same time. And if you throw that off even one night, you'll notice the next day they're not quite on. And so the more you can get your sleep consistent, this really matters. I don't subscribe to the theory that you can pay a sleep debt and just sleep 12 hours the next day and you're going to feel better. And in fact, there's this idea, thank God it's Friday, many people feel good on Fridays. I say it's because their sleep is consistent. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they feel better towards the end of the week. So sleep is very important. I want you to have the consistency of the sleep. Should you guys work out like an hour before you go to bed? No. You're too amped up. You're too ramped up. Instead, in that hour before you go to bed, you want to have a good sleep time routine. I mean, think about when you were a kid in your home, right? Parents probably read you some books and you brushed your teeth, got your jammies on, said your prayers, got into bed. It was a whole rhythm. And so it's very important to get that rhythm going and begin to ramp it down at night. Should you be playing video games an hour before you go to bed? No. Because video games put you in high beta activity. You might think that you're just relaxed, but you're really focused really hard, and that's not so ideal. Watching like the news on TV before you go to bed, is that a good idea? No, it gets all that negative junk in your head. Instead, I encourage you guys to watch something like the moose walking in Yellowstone or something. Very slow, very relaxing, something that's not going to be too engaging. Or maybe read something for pleasure. Maybe read a book for pleasure. It's very important that you have that hour before to begin to ramp it down. So it's not like you're taking a race car from 5th gear down to 1st gear. I mean, you just can't do that right away. You got to go to 4th to 3rd, and this is what we need to do to ramp it down to sleep. What about some other things that you probably shouldn't do for sleep? Some other things you shouldn't do. Yeah?
Eat something?
Absolutely. That can be tough. Sometimes you eat a big meal and then you go down and you're horizontal. It'd be tough and indigestion creeps in. So yeah, as best you can, try not to eat right before you go to bed. That's a really great thing. What are some things you should do? Some things you should do.
Listen to calm music.
Bingo. Absolutely. Listening to calm music is so important. Why? Because when you listen to calming music, soothing music that doesn't really have lyrics in it, it's more instrumental, it's more mellow. When you have that, it pushes your brain from beta more to alpha. I mean, think of elevator music, right? And elevator music is there because it wants you to help you relax. When I used to work in an ER, we always had very calming, soothing music playing in the ER so that people would calm down during a venue where it's very stressful. And so you want to try to dim the lights, put some soft music on, begin to really ramp it down as best you can. It's the consistency of your sleep that really matters. It's about having yourself ramping down that really matters. If you need to take medication to help you fall asleep, I just urge you to take it as it's prescribed or as it's recommended. It's not good to take that stuff in another way, like maybe taking a Tylenol PM at 3 o'clock in the morning to fall asleep at night, because it stays with you, it's in your system, and it's tough to wake up in the morning. And so things like that. Another thing I encourage you to do is that if you're struggling with some insomnia, stay down. Don't get up out of bed. You see, when you are struggling with some insomnia, it's easy to say, I might as well get up and work. But what you're doing is you're shifting instead out of a theta alpha state back into a beta, and now you're up and working, but you threw off your sleep schedule. What's going to happen the next day is you're going to feel really, really tired. You're going to feel worn out. And so it's best to stay down and lie in bed for the whole 8-hour cycle, even if you're in alpha theta brainwave. It's better to get 8 hours of that than only 4 hours and get up and be in beta. Does that make sense? On a bus ride, should you be sleeping a lot on the bus ride? No, because when you sleep for a couple hours as you travel competition, it's going to throw off your sleep schedule as well. What's the most important night's sleep for optimal performance in athletics? Is it the night before? 2 nights before. 2 nights before is far better. It's normal and natural to be anxious the night before. So 2 nights before, you want to get good sleep. Now, I'm a big fan of naps. And according to a study done by NASA, a how many minute nap each day is optimal for performance? 26-minute nap, absolutely. You guys know this stuff, and that is great. A 26-minute nap in the middle of the day significantly increased performance by 32% for pilots on a flight simulator test. And so if we can take the pilots from NASA and give them a 26-minute nap and increase their performance by 32%, what can it do for you as an athlete? Are you taking that nap? Are you applying these concepts? I know it may sound simple in theory, but it's profound in application. You apply these concepts about sleep, and I promise you, it's going to lead to a clearer mind, better performance, giving you the mind of the athlete, so much more.